Graaff-Reinet, steeped in history, is a traveller's refuge for the harsh, hostile semi-desert of the Great Karoo. The burn camp at Union High offered the community of riders all they needed to prepare for Stage 3 at the Nedbank gravel burn, the fuel to fire up the body and caring hands to soothe tired legs. The Elixir Challengers jersey was presented and proudly worn by the biggest GC mover amongst the amateur age group riders. The stage winners and GC leaders across all categories etched their names onto the Toyota Fortuner Leaders car. Before the action from Stage 3, let's look back at Stage 2. Leaving the Zondag farm in Avontuur after their first night in a burn camp, the men's elite group headed for Willemore, 108 kilometers away. Matt Beers in the Assos Ember Leaders jersey, the bright ochre color marking him as the man to beat. As they left Uniondale on the first gravel, Dan Loebscher, Cameron Worth and Philip Bachel set off on what would ultimately be a doomed attack. On the private farm track leading to the feared Charlotte climb, a pivotal race-defining course, German strongman Lukas Baum attacked, taking with him Beers, Simon Pellaud and Tristan Norkier. The brutal steep ascent was for many riders a nightmare of rocks, stones and loose terrain, stunting momentum and forcing them off their bikes on occasion as they dug deep to reach the summit. The carnage was real and the peloton was shattered. The powerhouses of Baum and Beers prevailed. On the district road thereafter, they were joined by Simon Pellaud and the trio got to work. Doing short, regular turns on the front, they were able to steadily increase their advantage on the chase group. For second on GC, Andrei Frischneck dropping back and third, Hugo Drescher also struggling. National champion Marco Huber of South Africa tried to gain some time on GC, as did his teammate Tristan Norkier. Eventually, they too were caught. But if you don't succeed at first, try again, and Huber, a fearless attacker, went to the front again. But the hunting, hungry pack behind soon hauled him in, leaving Lukas Baum and Matt Beers to fight it out for the win. And Beers' feared power prevailed. He took a second consecutive stage victory ahead of the hard-working German, with Simon Pellaud 14 seconds back in third. Familiar position, top step regained for Beers as he extended his overall lead to 63 seconds. Pellaud's good day moved the Swiss into second, 45 seconds clear of Lukas Baum. The women's elite bunch was still all together when they hit the gravel out of Uniondale. Leader Axel Dubois-Prévost, not quite as distinctive with a black gilet over her Ember Leaders jersey. The Charlotte was stage defining as well. Melissa Rollins was first to dismount. Hayley Preen lasted a little longer before she too had to run her bike to the top. The pair summited together. Once down on the road, they opened a small gap to the rest. But with the race leader and motivated chasers in hot pursuit, their lead was short-lived and they were caught by Dubois-Prévost, Mulman Passio, Rollins, Olivia Hottiger and Hayley Smith. The group got bigger. Lauren Stevens and Whitney Allison bridged across to them. Allison, though, was first to lose ground as the road tilted uphill towards the finish at Willemore. The long drag to the last right-hand corner saw small gaps appear. The fight to get into the corner first was real. Melissa Rollins leading Hayley Preen and Dubois-Prévost in. The unlucky South African Preen was to puncture and a chance of victory gone. Rollins drove hard for the line, but Dubois-Prévost hunted down first Hayley Smith and then Rollins and powered past the American to secure a second consecutive stage win in thrilling fashion on the streets of Willemore. The French champion's advantage over Mulman Passio just 13 seconds. Rollins in third, 1:46 down. Preen a further 21 seconds back. Starting in the historic town of Graaff-Reinet, Stage 3 was 90 kilometers into the deep Great Karoo, where livestock and landscape exist in rugged harmony. Those who warmed up will relish the 43 kilometers of continuous climbing to Conical Peak. A glance at the sharp-pointed Kompassberg could be costly in the rough descents, before more than 1,450 meters of climbing leads them to the burn camp for the first of 2 nights under the stars at beautiful Blaauwater Farms. They were heading deep into the remote, hostile environment of the ancient landscape of the Great Karoo, where only the strong, resilient and resourceful survive.
It's a beautiful day, so I'm excited for the weather because I have the feeling I'm learning every day 100 things, like not only on the bike, also off the bike. I'm really getting out of my comfort zone. I have to take care about my own material. Yeah, I'm just trying to soak everything in and just enjoy and learn every day.
It's really cool, just the whole vibe. I mean, today is a very special day, seeing all people come out. And to be racing around the burn and racing in the African tent and showing off our beautiful country, I love that.
I hope it's not like everyday full gas deal, because it's gonna be a tough week. Yeah, today is almost only uphill, so it's gonna be a lot of pushing on the pedals. Yeah.
A 90-kilometer stage dominated by relentless climbing was a fitting playground for these super-strong athletes to fight it out for stage honours. The big pack stayed together for much of the early kilometres out of Graaff-Reinet, weary of the day's big climb to the summit of Conical Hill. One man, though, was prepared to roll the dice, Lucas Postelberger. Clad all in white, the Austrian champion engaged power mode and quickly began building a lead that would grow to almost a minute at best. His general classification placing of 10 minutes off the lead and the boldness of his early move saw the rest of the field allow him the freedom to ride on into the mountains. For the first time in the race, Tom Pidcock was at the front of the big group, testing his legs perhaps and laying the foundations for an all-out assault on a stage later in the week. Pidcock is 1 hour and 46 minutes off the pace, so no threat to the overall. As Postelberger rode on up ahead and the group rode gently on behind him, the roads gradually rose through the Erasmuskloof towards the Karoo Mountains, giving the riders a glimpse into the rough-hewn and raw beauty of the Great Karoo, where water is a cherished commodity. When it does rain, the water carves a deep path through the earth. Postelberger came prepared. Wearing a hydration pack and carrying 2 bottles, he was up for the challenge of riding solo. The short undulations testing his legs, the flats without any wind, a relative breeze for a man who's ridden on the world tour for many, many years. He kept looking over his shoulder to see if there was anyone prepared to join him on the break. None so bold or brave just at this stage. But there was an increase in the tempo. The long chase group no longer bunched up, but finding a line on the right-hand side of these broad gravel roads cutting through the Great Karoo. The main protagonists starting to show their teeth as they closed in on the first Putztal. Postelberger would arrive at that Putztal first. The name for the refreshment stop along the routes of the Nedbank gravel burn derived from the Afrikaans word meaning road stop in English. No stopping here for the Austrian champion. Pedal on he did. In 2017, Postelberger put his name in lights when he won the first stage of the Giro d'Italia, putting him in the Maglia Rosa, the race leader's jersey, for a couple of days. That would establish him as a serious contender on the road. And here he is, a serious contender on the gravel as well. Steady tempo, but the unrelenting undulations were starting to take a toll on the Austrian. The big rocky climb coming up would be an opportunity for anyone out of this bunch to launch an attack and try and shut down the Austrian, who was just over 55 seconds ahead. And it was to be, as Tristan Norkier of Ibuco Chemchamp launched said attack. On the steeper climbs, he closed the gap down by 50 seconds, and by the time he got to the top, he was just 6 seconds behind Postelberger and closing in rapidly on the Austrian. Behind him, the bunch was almost 20 seconds adrift. Norkier, pedaling strong and fast, urged Postelberger to join him. But the Austrian was a spent force. He sat with the South African for a kilometre before the road went uphill again, and Norkier, showing his superb skills, summited the conical peak alone, some 12 seconds ahead of the chase bunch, which had been whittled down to some 12 riders in hot pursuit of the Ibuco Chemchamp rider. Constantly aware of the danger of the firepower behind him, Tristan Norkier was keeping an eye on them. A long line of riders, highly motivated now. Postelberger just hanging on the back. Ugo Dreschu was in there, and Simon Pellaud, the man in second place on general classification, was leading the charge. Soon he was brought to heel, and again, Pidcock was there. Signs that the Olympic mountain bike champion was starting to feel good. On the descents, it was fast, it was relentless, but these superbly skilled athletes dealing with all the obstacles impeccably. This is gravel racing at its most brutal. Fast and furious, risks are taken, caution is put aside, and occasionally some of the very best riders in the world get it wrong, as Griffin Easter did, nursing a painful finger and a stricken bike. Bad luck for the American, who was inside the top 10. And they were all in now. Tristan Norkier, Chad Hager, André Frischknecht on his hardtail mountain bike, Lucas Baum. Rough, wet and rocky river crossing saw 15 riders get across, and still Tom Pidcock was in the frame. It was a game of cat and mouse, 9 riders fighting for victory. Who was going to win it? You're watching the Nedbank Gravel Burn Stage 3. Well, let's hear from one of the riders right in the heat of battle.
I tried a move like on the railway crossing. It was pretty sketchy, and I saw that behind me was no Matt and no Lucas Baum either, so I thought, okay, I should try to just put a little pressure on for a couple of kilometers, and I split the group, and then we stayed like 8 riders, I would say, more or less in the front. And there I was just playing also. I wanted to stay behind, like last position, for also to make the other head getting like shaked out, you know, a little bit like pressure. They all knew I was strong today, but they couldn't see me. I was just looking behind, you know.
They knew the finish was a rise into the windmill. And Chad Hager was keeping a steady tempo on the front, the American former World Tour Road Pro. Beers, 2 stage wins to his name.
But then we got to the last kilometer. I knew it was a kicker. When Ugo went early, it was perfect for me because I first waited for Lucas and Matt to react. But their reaction was a bit too slow, and Ugo could get a gap, and then I had to go. And I had to go catch Hugo, and then I could still catch him in the steep bit, and then I could drop him.
The beauty of a blind finish. Ugo Dreschu going just a little bit too early, and his legs gave in at a critical phase, and it was a victory for Simon Pellaud as he stormed to victory at the Blaauwater Burn Camp to take the first stage win by the Swiss rider. Simon Pellaud's explosive attack earned him 8 seconds in his battle with Matthew Beers at the top of the standings. Lucas Baum 1:49 down. Dreschu and Tristan Norkier just separated by 37 seconds. Welcome back into the top 10 for Andreas Seerbold and André Frischknecht.
It's been perfect to play a final for me today.
Simon Pellaud's explosive attack earned him an 8-second gain against Matthew Beers. He's 55 seconds down. Lucas Baum is 149 down. Nico Dreschu and Tristan Nortje close out the top 5. Welcome back into the top 10, Andreas Seerwold and André Frischnecht. Following 2 days of racing, the pecking order was just about established. Axel Dubois-Prévost with 6 wins this year and a 13-second lead over Ashley Montpensier. The fourth oldest town in South Africa, Graaff-Reinet, bid farewell. The youngsters from Union High School enjoying an opportunity to bid farewell to them along Caledon Street as they rolled out behind the Nedbank Gravelburn liveried Toyota Fortuner on the neutral stage. Ashley Montpensier second alongside Hayley Smith, a rider who's riding herself right into contention, and she sits in 5th place overall. On stage 2, she gave evidence that she is here in good form and intent on making an impact on the podium. Quiet rollout into the Kamdebou National Park. Spectacular setting. Left the Erasmus Kloof and the Kamdebou National Park. Ahead of them was the Conical Peak climb. Juanita McKenzie from Port Elizabeth riding for ChemChamp, and she is a midwife by profession and a highly credentialed and skilled semi-professional rider. Clara Koppenberg back and racing hard at the front of proceedings, leading Ashley Montpensier and setting a wicked pace that strung the group out along the gravel roads. Undulations all the way to the top of Conical Peak at 43 kilometers. It's attritional riding, and those climbs started to have an effect on the back of the field as riders started to drop off. Koppenberg, Dubois-Prévost, Montpensier, Hottinger, and at the back there, Melissa Rollins. It wasn't to be for Clara Koppenberg. Her efforts at the front came to naught, a puncture in the rear wheel, and she spent precious time as riders rolled past her in repairing the puncture. A sorry time for the German rider, but she is a bold and brave racer. She'll be back to race again on stage 4. Meanwhile, the African champion Hayley Breen on home roads, setting the pace as they rolled through the first of the Gravelburn Putstalls. Applauded by the crew there, they weren't to stop. They were here for business, all looking around, wondering who was going to make the first move. Well, the course decided that it was a steep, punishing climb, winding up towards Conical Peak, not the ultimate summit, but it saw the preeminent climber in the field, Ashley Montpensier, just flex her muscle and illustrate that if anyone's going to get the better of her, they'd have to ride themselves almost to a standstill. Montpensier, Dubois-Prévost, Preen on the French woman's wheel. Behind her, Hayley Smith, looking ever so strong, also in this field. Olivia Hottinger. Slowly but surely, riders are dropping off. This was a major selection point in the women's elite race. They summited Conical Peak and then plummeted down. A graphic illustration of the wonderful skills and talents of these superb athletes. Risk and reward balanced precariously. Away they went, 8 riders. The one rider who is an unfamiliar presence in this elite selection was third wheel here, Yannick Giegler, the Austrian champion, relishing the chance to go for a stage win in such exalted company, which included the American champion Lauren Stevens sitting at the back of the group there. Melissa Rollins had dropped off the group and she was working hard to regain contact, something the American did with relative ease a short while later as she rolled into the back of the group. The selection made, surely the stage winner would come from this. Rollins, Dubois-Prévost, Stevens, Smith, Preen, Ashley Montpensier and Giegler, as well as Hottinger. Hottinger sitting at the back here as Hayley Smith, who'd barely been off the front the entire day, continued to set a good tempo. Welcome water and shade on a day that saw the temperatures rise to the highest we've seen over the first 3 days of the Nedbank Gravelburn. On the drag towards the line, it blinked in the distance. The windmill was the beacon which they were racing. Rollins, Haley Preen, Jana Gigler, all had hopes of being on the top step of the podium today. General classification, well, it was just 13 seconds the difference between Dubois-Prévost and Moolman-Pasio. And those two riders never left each other alone all day. They rolled ever so cautiously underneath the N9. Caution not due to anything other than what came and what lay in store. The drag to the finish. So much riding on this. And then Preen had to stop. Real drama. Haley Preen off her bike. The riders go away from her and she has to stop dead and unwind a long length of fencing wire that had entangled itself in her front wheel hub. Second day in a row, a mechanical issue has denied Haley Preen from being in the mix for the stage win. Really unfortunate situation for the South African. Surely she'll get it right one day this week. Moolman-Pasio, Stevens, Dubois-Prévost, Pottinger, all starting to wind it up, shadowed by that helicopter, and on the drag towards the finish. The final drag to the line, and the first to drop was Jana Gigler, the Austrian champion, sitting right at the back here, feigning perhaps fatigue, but anything but, was Lauren Stevens. The American champion jumped and attacked, reacting first Hayley Smith and then Ashley Moolman-Pasio, but there was no stopping her. She was soaring to victory at Blaauwater Farms and the Burn Camp. Second stage winner, she wins stage 3.
Yeah, we were a pretty small group, so I stayed towards the back coming in, and then just before I went at about 400 meters, I laid off the group so I could come by them with some speed. Now that we can forget about the rain and cold on day one and we have the nice sunshine, it's been a wonderful experience.
Axel Dubois-Prévost continues to wear the Assos Ember Leaders jersey by 12 seconds from Ashley Moolman-Pasio. Melissa Rollins 150 down, a big gap to Haley Preen, who lost time due to that mechanical. Smith in 5th place continues to get stronger. Settling into the Nedbank gravel burn, and sage advice from the Olympic champion, Tom Pidcock.
I didn't know what to expect, but the camp's super cool. You know, just sleeping in tents, campfire. We're on there. I bought marshmallows yesterday. Yeah, so Kevin, next year you should supply marshmallows.
The riders welcomed home to this Blaauwater burn camp by the enthusiastic and excited supporters deep in the heart of the Karoo. Ritzia von Dries, the 1988 World Road Race champion, was a popular target for selfies. After a hot day, a cool towel to wipe down. It was thumbs up all round. The original 500 gravel burners settling into a stunning remote burn camp at Blaauwater Farms, where they could unpack, kick back and enjoy the peace and tranquility of the Karoo. They'd be here for 2 nights. The sense of community was building. 3 days in, and first day strangers were now firm friends with a common purpose and desire. Recovery, refueling, all part of the daily routine. Specialized looking after the bikes checked in to the bike park. Dusty, a little creaky, and very shortly, under the expert guidance of the bike wash crew, they were back in pristine condition for stage 4. They'll explore more of the magical, mysterious Great Karoo and its conical koppies, quaint villages, and the unique flora and fauna of the region. Kompasberg, they will do a loop around the iconic mountain. New Bethesda and its magnificent church will be on their route as well. A 111-kilometer loop around the magnificent Kompasberg. 1,450 meters of climbing, including the brutal Komse Pass and Tafelkop twice. They're deep into the heart of the Great Karoo. The gravel burn continues to provide wondrous views, excitement, and plenty of drama.